Hey everyone, welcome to the video of the week. Today's video of the week is going to be a little bit shorter one. This is my video of the week on my current opinion on how school things are going in the world. I am not doing this to discourage anybody else's basis of schooling in any way. It's ultimately what you choose to do with your child, and I'm just giving my setting on how I view things with the world right now and how schooling and that should be, in my opinion. So there's multiple types of different schoolings that you can choose from, but the ones that I'm aware of are public, cyber, and home. They all three have their benefits for each child because each child is different in their own different way, and that child is some children are able to excel and homeschool, where it's more of like a one-on-one or whatever session with your parent or whoever it is that's teaching you, um, or a teacher or etc. And then there's some children that do better in cyber school settings, which is more of like remote learning in a way and learning on your own pace and doing things at your own pace. And then there's some children that benefit in face to face with the teacher in a classroom. So I'm not here to discourage any of them, really. I'm just ultimately giving my opinion on what I think about current world things when it comes to schooling. And there's a lot of things I can choose to touch on, but I chose three major topics that I wanted to discuss. The first one is bullying. So, bullying happens a lot throughout different school bases. Um, in my personal preference, this one is more beneficial to go towards cyber or homeschooling. The reason why I'm saying that is because in public school settings, you're opening up that child up to having more bullying things happening with them, such as maybe they are targeted for different things um, that they might not be able to help, but some children and some adults can be very mean in the world, and that's how it is sometimes. So, and then it gets into bigger situations and it doesn't need to get to that far, but so that's why I'm saying for cyber and homeschooling in that setting it might be a little bit better. The reason why some people might be saying, well, the cyber schooling could cause bullying in that too, yes, you're telling the truth, it can. However, when I'm going off of my basis of cyber schooling, I attended a cyber school where the only time you were really in the presence of other children or had any interaction with another child, it was when they were pretty much on the live learning lesson or like Zoom meeting with the teacher and you and these other students. So there really was no opportunity for bullying to happen. And if it was, then the teacher was there to present something like you shouldn't be doing that, you shouldn't be anything like that. So that I'm just going off of my setting there. So I'm not saying it hasn't happened in cyber. I'm sure it has. And I'm sure there's always been that issue in cyber as well, but not as frequently I hear about it as much as it would in public. Now, homeschooling is a little bit different. Homeschooling is a setting in which you pretty much are home and doing your thing with your parent or your teacher or whoever it is that's coming to your home. So I obviously that should eliminate the bullying concept of things, but then again, the world is very scary, so you don't know. As I said, the second topic that I wanted to touch on is um, kind of gun violence and school shootings. And I think this kind of coexists in a way with bullying. And the reason why I say that is because, I mean, I'm just going off of certain reasonings. Gun violence can happen no matter where you are in the world. I'm just going to be honest. It can happen no matter where you are in the world. But school shootings is very, very scary and sad situation. But in my personal preference, I'm looking at it like probably 80 to 90% of the time, it is due to some type of either one, mental health conditioning, or two, bullying or something going on with that child, because I choose to believe that a child is not ultimately going to do that to somebody else, let alone other children and school staff members, without there being a reasoning behind it. And I'm not justifying any of them. I'm just simply saying the truth. Like, I think a lot of the times it is stemmed back to bullying of some sort. So I think this one kind of goes to cyber and that too, for more of a beneficial reasoning behind things. So that's why I'm against public school in that setting there as well. Now, cyber, obviously, like I said, gun violence and that stuff can happen no matter what. But obviously, cyber school, a lot of the times you're home, just like at homeschooling. So it's a little bit different, and you can't really have that opening. I mean, sure, you could, but at the same time, it's not likely that that's going to happen. Now, the third topic I wanted to touch on is actually a topic that has been circling the world fairly recently, and that is the topic of mental health in schools. So, I wanted to touch on this so much because I've had so many things I can say about different bases of schooling that I've attended that involved with my mental health, and it was not good in some cases. In some cases, they were good. So, when I was in public school, I'm going to be outright honest. I don't think that they knew anything on what to do with that setting, with bipolar and autism and everything that I have, like this, like depression, anxiety, everything. They did not know nothing on what to do with me at all. I think at some point they just threw the metaphorical book in the trash, if you know what I mean. Like, they didn't know what to do, and I think that's why it was such a big decision for me to move from public school to cyber. And and I'll get to cyber in a minute, but that's why I think that and like I said, I'm going off of my preferences and my opinion on things and what my experience was, so you guys can go off of your own, but that's just my stuff. Now, with that said, that's why I'm against public school in that setting, because I honestly think that my public school experience, they didn't know truly what to do with anybody, in my preference, with mental health. Now, when it comes to cyber school, they had their moments as well. I'm not going to lie, they did. They had their moments where they didn't know what to do either in some cases, but they were a little bit more equipped to handle that than I think the others were, because I think in a way you have to kind of give public school the setting of they were in person and this person wasn't, but in a way they kind of were, if that makes sense. So this person that you're talking to, they understand your mental health, they get it, but you're not there, so they're not really seeing it in some ways, unless you're on a Zoom call with them, and then it's different. But in this setting, if you're just talking via email or phone or whatever, they don't know what you're truly going on in your life right now. They're just kind of going off what you say. So in that setting, it's wrong. Like, they don't know and they don't know what to do. But when you're in the Zoom meetings and you're talking it out and stuff like that, it is really beneficial because that person's like, okay, yeah, I get it. I know what you're saying and stuff like that. Like, I've had preferences and I've had issues in cyber school that had to do with my mental health, and I feel like a lot of the teachers in cyber school dealt with it a lot more appropriately than they did in public school, in my preference, in my situation. Now, when it comes to homeschooling, I have no idea about that because I've never really did homeschooling besides like cyber setting. So, but I'm assuming it's a lot easier, but that's just my opinion. Like, I'm just going off of what I think. But I mean, obviously, home life can be tragic and hard as well with certain circumstances, so I'm not saying it can't. But that's pretty much what I wanted to touch on. So, in my opinion, I prefer cyber learning than others, but I mean, everybody's different and everybody's opinion is their own. But I'm going to let that up to you guys what to choose. My personal opinion, it's cyber. But anywho, the next video of the week is going to be about mental health and my mental health conditions and what I've learned about myself because of them. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Peace.